Hello, and welcome back to this video thing that I do. As you may have seen from last week, we're kind of changed up the format here, and I'm kind of just using it as a potential growth mechanism for my life in 2023. This last week, I just did a lot of working, and I was doing some high school basketball, and I do a lot of high school basketball, and I knew I was going to work a lot of high school basketball, so in the preseason, I had set out a goal that I wanted to work a Cathedral high school basketball game. That is because Cathedral is not only a school in Indianapolis, but they also happen to have the number 3 recruit in the whole entire country for the senior class on their team, Xavier Booker. Tragically, he is committed to Michigan State, but I had set out a goal in the preseason to work a Cathedral game and get to work a broadcast that Xavier Booker was playing in, and I did that this past week when I worked an NIBC tournament, a national high school basketball tournament, had some of the top recruits across the whole entire country. Pretty remarkable, and I still can't kind of believe that I did it. So it's a 3-day tournament with like some of the best schools you've heard of: Montverde, IMG, probably those of you may have heard of Oak Hill Academy, where Carmelo Anthony went. A lot of high schools, big schools. I didn't really know this until a few days beforehand, but on the second day of the tournament, I was working a Cathedral game with Xavier Booker playing. So I had accomplished that I was going to accomplish that, and I have now accomplished that preseason goal of working a Cathedral game. But not only did I get to work a Cathedral game, I thought it would have been with like the high school people I do broadcast stuff with, like kind of a smaller broadcast, but I just wanted to work one regardless. Not only was it a Cathedral game, but it was on ESPN2. Now, I don't know if you know how the ESPN network of channels works, but they have ESPN, which is their top show, and then second in the running of the popularity or size of their channels is ESPN2 on national television. I worked a Cathedral basketball game with Xavier Booker, a preseason goal of mine that I had. Not only did I work the game, but it was on ESPN2, a national TV channel. I don't think I fully comprehended what that means or the magnitude of that, but that is insane, y'all. I worked a game on ESPN2. That's the thing that actually happened this past week. I was on ESPN2. I mean, I wasn't physically there, but I made an impact on ESPN2. It boggles my mind. It really just blows my mind. And I'm just grateful. Because the tournaments with this company, Paragon Marketing, that I almost got a job with in the past. And one of my mentors, Paul Bronstetter, he works for them, and I really look up to him. I think he's an amazing guy, and I wanted to work side by side with him. And this is a way for me to get involved with his company still, and still I'm not working with him, but he's still involved, and that's a good feeling, and I'm just truly grateful. It's incredible to me that the first game I work on ESPN2 happens to be a game that I wanted to work beforehand, but also has a tie to me personally, being in Indianapolis, being a Cathedral school, being the school of Cathedral, a school from Indiana, getting national recognition. It's kind of a beautiful moment, and I can't believe it actually happened, and I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity, to be honest. It kind of blows my mind. But during this tournament, or kind of around this tournament, I've been spending a lot more time on my phone, and that's not a good thing. It's causing me to look more around at the others instead of what I'm doing, and it just kind of stresses me out. It gives me the not goosebumps, but it just rubs me the wrong way because it negatively affects my mental health. I find myself just comparing myself to others more, thinking about other things instead of what I'm doing, not spending as much time in the moment and focusing on where I'm at. Hell, literally yesterday I was working the Pacers game, Pacers versus Hornets, LaMelo Ball versus the Pacers. Pacers got a dub, let's go. But I was on the court. I was there during warm-ups. I was there as they were warming up. I was sitting courtside, and I found myself still bummed out, thinking about how I was sad or I didn't have this going for me or whatever else. When I was singing, I was getting literally paid to sit in the 4th row at a Pacers game. I was getting paid to be there. I was thinking about how, I'm so sad. My life is so this, so that, so that. What am I doing? And it directly stems from spending time on my phone and doom scrolling, as it's called. Just scrolling with no reason, no goal. Just scrolling to get another hit of dopamine. And I need to roll that back. It kind of ebbs and flows for me, but I need to tone it back, and I need to tune it out almost, because it does no good for me. It just makes me more insecure, basically. So I did a lot of working, some self-comparison, not very healthy, but it was a pretty good week, a good start to 2023. I don't really know what I want to do with these episodes exactly, though. I don't know if I want to make them like focused around one sort of directive each week. I don't know if I want to try and just check in every week. I don't know. I feel like with every week I should be making some sort of progress in any facet. I don't really know what that would look like, but some sort of progress, whether that's like just submitted some more invoices or just applying to the union in Indianapolis. I should just chip away at things every single week, have some sort of productive update to give every week. I think that's probably the route I want to go with this, just to keep the progress moving, because it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to do things fast, you want to make fast progress, but ultimately the main thing is that you're making progress. You're slowly chipping away. I don't want to fall off the train at any point. I want to just keep the train moving, keep the momentum going, and just slowly keep growing and keep making these little changes that help me out in the long term. It can be very small, it can be rather big, but I just want to slowly add on to things every single week. Not much really to add this week, kind of just grinding, but I need to figure out ways, even on the weeks that I am working, to work positivity and growth into my weekly schedule. That'll come with time, but I would like to find some windows where I can take steps forward, if you get me. One more thing I would like to talk about this week, and it's it's kind of secondary, but it's something that has been on my mind. Andrew Tate. I don't know if you've heard of Andrew Tate. If you haven't, you should look him up. He's the top G. He's an internet celebrity of sorts. At one point was the most searched person on the internet, probably the most influential person on the internet at one point. He's just everywhere on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts, on all of the doom scrolling available options. He is everywhere. And he has been drastically outspoken, has a rather aggressive narrative, somewhat misogynistic, but ultimately his goal is sort of this pyramid scheme to get kids to join his Hustlers University, which gives them ways to make money. It costs $50 a month, and there are all these different ways you can make money, and I think there's some good in it. I think it's somewhat well-intentioned. He wants young men to take control of their lives, put themselves in a better financial situation where they're happier, they have more funds, they potentially get more attraction from women. Just they prosper, and he wants young men to do better and get in the driver's seat of their life. And I can respect that, but it's impossible to say that it's gone perfectly well. There's been flaws along the way. He said some controversial things that just, I would say, are unnecessary, but he's done it with intention. He said these controversial things in interviews because he knows it gets clicks, he knows it gets attention, and he's just been trying to use the system the whole time, and he's used it insanely well. He's pushed it insanely far, but he may have pushed it just a little too far the past few weeks, or really the past few months, kind of been building up. He's even spoke about this, about how you get 3 strikes. They offer you money, they try to get you to sell your soul, then they arrest you. If that doesn't work, then they kill you. So recently, he went to jail. He finally gotten caught on suspicion of human trafficking, and there have been many. That's been sort of his main criminal allegation, is human trafficking, because he runs these sort of cam girl websites where he brings in girls, they start doing OnlyFans, and he sort of monitors and helps them with their OnlyFans, helps them generate an audience and make money and keep up with their audience, and he kind of curates the messages because he knows how the mental psyche works. It's kind of slimy. He's basically a pimp, but he built an empire doing that. But along the way, he may have done it wrong a few ways, and there have been some girls that have accused him of human trafficking, and that's why he's now arrested. But even more dramatic than that, just today, or maybe it was yesterday, it had been released that he has now been hospitalized after getting in a brawl while in prison. And I'm not a Tate follower, I'm not like a Tate disciple or anything, but I do think this is kind of alarming. I have red flags popping up all over the place. Now, not trying to defend Andrew Tate once again, because he's a controversial figure and I don't agree with all the things he says, but I do support his general message of men trying to take care of their lives and get to another level, because realistically, that's what I'm trying to do in 2023. I'm trying to take myself here in this somewhat, I would say, mid position, and elevate my life and go to a new plane, whatever that looks like, but take a step forward, and that's what he preaches mainly. But he's since been hospitalized, and I fear that what he said about the Matrix is real. He got arrested after potentially somewhat bogus charges, also potentially very realistic charges. He could be a criminal. He probably has done some criminal things in the past. But anyways, they got him in jail after he refused to sell his soul to them, as he prophesized. And now he's being hospitalized after getting an alleged brawl in prison, which I am suspicious of. Although he's a kickboxer, and if somebody challenged him, he wouldn't take no shit and would put up a fight, I fear that it was the authorities that have done this to him. And I fear that he may be in a dire situation, and we may hear in a not too distant future that Andrew Tate has died. I would find that rather suspicious. And it would be under the circumstances of him being in a jail brawl, but I've talked about this for way too long, but Andrew Tate is a guy that's been very divisive in the past, and he has now gone to jail for some of his actions, and he may be guilty of those things. And he may have gotten in a fight while he's in prison. And he may be truly in dire circumstances after his own actions and something that truly happened, but he also may not. He may be innocent of these human trafficking charges. He may not have gotten in a fight in prison, and he may be wrongfully hospitalized after being beaten by authorities. I am just speculating, totally. But the fact that's possible, and the fact that it happened to a figure like Andrew Tate that has been so divisive, yet on the main stage, does bring up a lot of red flags for me, and I am skeptical of the whole situation. I know you probably don't care about all this, and I've talked about it for too long, but it's an interesting thing that's happening in the world that I wanted to mention on this podcast. Okay, thank you so much for watching this week's episode. I'll talk to you next week in the next week's episode of this thing that I'm doing. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you next week. I've been your host, Matthew Stein. You've been fantastic as always, and I'll see ya.